Surprise in Arizona. Hope you're all having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 2127. The things we sacrifice without realizing it. This is, oops, hang on, no, right number of fingers. This is part 3 of our sacrifice series that we're talking about this week. The things we sacrifice without realizing it. Yeah, some sacrifices are very obvious. We are very obvious about the sacrifices that we use. Others happen quietly, slipping through the cracks of our daily choices, and we don't even realize that we're making them. Tonight, we're shining a light on the invisible sacrifices we make without realizing it: our rest, our boundaries, our joy, our voice. Not all sacrifice is noble. Sometimes it's just unnoticed. When unconscious sacrifice shows up, saying yes when we want to say no. How many times have you said yes when you really wanted to say no? Or even said no when you want to say yes? These unconscious sacrifices. Swallowing opinions to avoid conflict. How many of you are peacemakers out there? You avoid conflict at all, as much as you can, but you don't voice it. But you stay quiet when you should be speaking out, but you don't like conflict, so you swallow your opinion to avoid the conflict. Giving time we don't have to prove we care. How many of you have got packed schedules every day and somebody says, oh, can you go and do this? And you're sort of like, oh, well, if I say no, then they're going to think I don't care. Oh, yes, I can do that. And then in your brain, you're going, where the heck are we going to fit that in? Yeah. So giving time we don't have to prove that we care. Learn to say no. It's okay. Putting ourselves last, just for now, again. How many times have you done something and you've put everybody else first and put yourself last? One of the biggest things I learned as a caregiver, and this is one of the hardest lessons any caregiver will learn, especially when you're caring for a loved one, and it could be in the role of a mother or a father or an aunt or an uncle where you are taking care of children as well, where you are constantly putting everybody else before yourself and you're always putting yourself last. The golden rule of caregiving, and this is one of the hardest rules that you have to learn, that you learn as a caregiver, is take care of yourself first so you can take care of your loved ones. Because if you don't take care of yourself, who's going to take care of your loved ones if you're not around or if anything happens to you? So putting ourselves last just for now, again, that is a big unconscious sacrifice that a lot of people make. Adopting roles that were never ours to carry. Taking on a mothering role when you're not a mother. There are others around that can take on that mothering role. It could be taking the lead in something that you're not the right person to take the lead for, but nobody else seems to be taking it, so you decide you're going to take that role, or take on that burden of, what's the word I'm looking for today? Sorry, my brain's gone fried. So adopting roles that were never ours to carry. So if you were, just trying to think, if you're somebody who lost a parent as a child and you then took over that parental role in the family, or you had younger siblings who looked up to you, that is adopting a role that was never yours to carry. Okay, I've seen this time and time again. I've seen it in my own family, where children take on the roles of the adults because their adults are not around to care for the kids for one reason or another. It could be that they're busy off working. It could be they have passed, but for some reason that one of the children have stepped up and taken on that parental role that is not theirs to carry. So that's another way that you can unconsciously sacrifice. What happens when it goes unchecked? When you stop, if you don't keep in check these God, sorry, my brain's gone fried today. These unconscious sacrifices, what happens if you leave them to go unchecked? We feel stretched thin and start to resent the people we love. I have seen this. I have been through this myself, where we are constantly giving and not receiving anything, or we're putting ourselves last instead of first. and we start feeling stretched and thin, the wire, tension gets very tight. We take it out more on the loved ones than we do our friends, where our family members are the ones that get attacked the most rather than our friends, because we love our family so much that we think they can handle it. But sometimes they can't, sometimes they can. It all depends. But when you feel stretched and thin, it's when you need to step back and start that self-care thing again. So we'll get to that in a minute. What am I talking? Sorry. I was at Networking Riches today. It was a fun day. We had a really fun day, but my brain is so fried right now, so I apologize. I did go and take self-care. I did go take a nap to try and reboot the brain, but I think I need a bigger sleep. Anyway, so what else happens when our unconscious sacrifices go unchecked? Not only do we feel stretched thin and start to resent the people we love, our creativity dries up under constant pressure. We wake up unsure of who we are without our responsibilities. This one hit me really hard when Brad passed, because for 9 years, 8 months, and 3 days, I had been his caregiver. I had been by his side as his caregiver, being his advocate when he wasn't able to be his advocate. And then when he passed, all of a sudden everything in my calendar got wiped out. Like, it was full of doctor visits and tests and procedures and treatments and all of that sort of stuff. And all of a sudden, like that, it was gone. I didn't know who I was. I have spent the last 7.5 years figuring out, who am I? Me as a person, a single solo person, instead of me as somebody who was part of a whole. When Brad was with me, we were two halves of a whole. And all of a sudden, a half is not there. And now I have to become this whole person, and I have to figure out, who am I without Brad being around? That was me waking up unsure of who I was without my responsibilities. I no longer had Brad to be a key. I no longer had Brad with me. Not only that, I wasn't taking care of him anymore. I had lost my caregiving status because he was no longer there. It took me a while to figure out that I needed to become my own caregiver. I'll tell you, that was a big wake-up call, working out to become my own caregiver and and start looking after myself, where I had put myself last because I was taking care of Brad. Like I said, one of the hardest lessons I had to learn being a caregiver was taking care of myself first before taking care of my loved one. To me, it went against everything I believed in. I was there to take care of him. Therefore, I should be putting him first, not taking that time out for me and making sure that I took care of myself so I could take care of him. That was a hard thing for my brain to get wrapped around. We passed down a pattern of silent self-erasure. So what does that mean? It means that our kids, our nieces, our nephews, our family, they watch us. Those younger generations are going to look up to us and see, how do we handle this situation? How do we handle that situation? Oh, you're always putting others first before yourself. And, oh, maybe that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So they see that pattern of you slowly erasing parts of yourself in order to give to others, when we should be taking care of ourselves first. So how do we reclaim what was quietly lost? Begin by noticing patterns and not blaming yourself for them. It is not your fault. You've picked up these patterns somewhere along the way. Somewhere along the way, you have watched and you're learning from others. So begin by noticing the patterns and don't blame yourself for them. Practice micro moments of restoration. 5 minutes. That's all. Sit quietly for 5 minutes. Go and sit outside for 5 minutes. One of my favorite times of the day is the morning, where you can go and sit outside, sometimes before the sun rises. And as the sun rises, you hear the world start to wake up around you. It is a very powerful feeling to feel that. For others, it is watching the sunset in the evening and hearing the world go to sleep around them. So find your time. Some of you are morning people, some of you are night people. Some will relate to sitting and watching the sun come up, and others will relate to sitting and watching the sun go down. I do both. To be honest, I like to get up in the morning. If the sun hasn't come up yet, Go and sit out on the back porch with a cup of tea. Zeffie will come and sit out there. Well, she'll lay on the rug out there, and we just have a quiet, and we just sit there in silence and just listen to the world come up. It is a great time for self-reflection. I'm out on my back porch with my porch light journal now that I've got it, and just writing in my journal. It's that time that I can claim my day. How does that look? It is my claim my day area. It is, here I am sitting in the quiet. I'm reflecting inwards, looking at what's going on in here and helping me restore myself there. It is setting the intention for the day. What do I have on the agenda for today? Where can I shine? What things do I have to do today? Yes, I do that to myself at times. There are times I will leave things till the last minute, and other times I will say, like, that's happening in 3 weeks. We're getting it done today. I don't want to deal with it in 3 weeks. I want it done today. So we set those intentions. But this micro moments of restoration, it could be in the middle of the day or in the afternoon when I take a 10-minute break. Every afternoon when I take a 10-minute break, I'm outside sitting in the sun. I'm getting me a dose of sunshine for 5 minutes. Even if it is 120 degrees Fahrenheit outside, I will sit out there for 5 minutes. I've got a little cushion I take out to put on the little brick wall, because that little brick wall gets really, really hot on your butt if there's nothing to sit on. So I take a cushion out with me and put that on the half wall and just sit there in the sunshine for 5 minutes. I will tell you this, it feels like you're sitting in an oven. You come inside in the door and you get hit by that cold blast of an AC. Boom, you're wide awake and ready to go for the next 2 to 3 hours. So just taking that 5 minutes. It could be sitting 5 minutes in meditation, 5 minutes in contemplation, just 5 minutes of quiet, peace and quiet. You'll find those little moments throughout the day, those little things that you can do throughout the day to help you with that. Let's see what else we got on our list to help you reclaim. Reestablish boundaries in one small area of your life. So if you've got people that keep encroaching on your time, when you want to have that little 5 minutes of thing, all you do is you take a do not disturb sign, you stick it on the door, and you tell everybody else in the household that door is not to open at all unless it is a life and death situation. And you take that area, and then you can take that time. Now, you can use this in business as well. Like if you've got to make phone calls or do other stuff where you need that total uninterrupted time, establish your boundaries by saying when that sign is on the door, it does not get open unless it is a life and death situation. And you can even go on and, especially with kids, describe what a life and death situation is. So they know they've got their little checklist of what they have to go through before they knock on that door. And it could be even just establishing that so you can have your 5 minutes of restoration time or your 10 minutes of meditation. It could be doing something as simple as that. Ask yourself, if I said yes to myself here, what would it look like? That's a good question. If you said yes to yourself here, what would it look like? And remember, you're allowed to recalibrate. Yes. Another, this is not one that I do because I can't stand baths, but go take a bath. It could be with your favorite bath salts in there, your favorite bubble bath. Could be candles lit around the room. I personally don't like flame candles. I get those little battery operated ones if I want to establish a candle, an ambiance with candles. I like the little battery operated ones. They do get ones that flicker, so that makes them nice. But it's just taking that time out for yourself, carving out that time and establishing the boundaries around that time. If you're going to do this at the same time every day, let everybody else know at this time every day, I will be doing this. I am not to be disturbed. Now, if you're in a house by yourself with a dog, that's a little bit of a different story. Zeffie, she's down on the bed. Zeffie and I have little conversations like, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to meditate for 10 minutes. You want to come meditate with me? I went to take a nap this afternoon. We call our afternoon naps our snoozles. And I said, I'm going to go take a snoozle. Do you want to come? And she gets up and follows me into the bedroom. She gets up on the bed on her side and lays down. And I get on the bed on my side, throw my blanket over me, and we have a snoozle. That's our afternoon naps. I don't know how I come up with snoozle. It just came out of the mouth one day. So you are allowed to recalibrate, and that is taking the time out for yourself. It could be going to having a spa treatment, just taking yourself off once a month or something to have a massage. It could be being able to curl up in your favorite chair with a good book. Oh, I love that one. I've got my eye on this chair for my reading corner in my new house when I get to New Zealand. I don't even know what my new house looks like yet. Actually, I've pictured a few of what it could look like, but I'm going to have this reading room with this 1.5 size chair in there that you can just curl up in and stretch out in and just snuggle down into, and that's my reading corner. Yes. What does your time to recalibrate look like for you? What works best for you? It's not going, oh, well, she said I have to do 5 minutes of this and I have to do 10 minutes of this. No, you yourself will know what you want, what you need to do to recalibrate. Me, I got to take myself off into a quiet space because I'm an introvert. I'm an outgoing introvert. To recharge my batteries, I have to step away from everybody and everything that can drain my energy and just go and just be with myself, read a book, have a sleep, whatever it is, just to help me recharge my energy. We've got extroverts. They need to be around other people to recharge their batteries. So you're going to have to figure out, are you an introvert where you have to sit by, where you have to have that quiet time to recalibrate yourself? Or are you an extrovert where you have to be out among the crowds to recharge your energy levels? You'll figure it out and you will learn how to recalibrate yourself. If you're an extrovert, sitting in a corner with a book could be like the hardest thing you've ever had to do. Don't do that. Not unless you really, really want to. You might be happy sitting in the corner of a coffee shop where there's a lot of noise and a lot of coming and going and people around you, where you can sit there and read, and you sit there and read your book with no problem at all because you're getting the energy from the people and recharging your batteries. You know, you do you the best way you know how. Our legacy connection. We always have a legacy connection with our shows. The quiet sacrifices shape us just as much as the loud ones. When we reclaim what was lost in silence, we model a legacy of wholeness, not depletion. That's the kind of sacrifice that heals. And here are your reflection questions for the day. They are in the description below the video. You can, if you wish, get your copy of the Porch Light Reflection Journal, which is just scan the QR code up here in the top left-hand corner. Sorry, fried brain. And this one is, find a page I haven't done. This one here has, on this side, it has a thought to reflect on. On this side is for free writing. So this is where you can, on this sort of page, you can put your questions there. You don't have to go through the pages in order. You can use them however you want. There's dates up here that you can put in here. This thought to reflect on says, what's something small that brings you quiet joy, and how can you invite more of it into your daily life? And our reflection questions for this evening relating to the things that we sacrifice without realizing it. Question number 1, what have I been giving up without realizing it? That means that you've got to think about your daily tasks. What are you doing each day, and what have you let go of without realizing it? Where have I made myself smaller in order to keep the peace? This is avoiding the conflict. So where have you avoided the conflict instead of finding a constructive way to discuss something with somebody because you don't want to do it because it might bring up conflict between the two instead of having a rationalized discussion. What's one small way I can reclaim part of myself today? Maybe you could decide to go and sit out on the porch, and either the back porch or the front porch. Introverts will go to the back porch because there's nobody there. Extroverts will go to the front porch so they can say hi to everybody that walks past the door. Okay, some outgoing introverts will also go sit on the front porch, but depends on what I need to do. So what's one small way you can reclaim part of yourself today? And in closing, our closing thought is, you don't have to keep paying a price you never agreed to. You don't have to keep paying a price you never agreed to. And with that, We are out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening. I'll be back tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Pacific because I have, jeepers, I got a brain fried day tomorrow. I've got Networking Riches day 2. And then tomorrow evening, we've got our mastermind group meeting. And so, yeah, I'll probably be back. I'll be here around 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Okay, 7 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow evening. Until then, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening. Hei konera.